Hello, everyone, and welcome to English in Motion. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoy learning English with simple, real-life conversations, please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps more learners around the world find our lessons. All right, let's get started. Today, we're going to explore one of the most useful topics in everyday English, talking about your life, not just introductions, not just routines, but a full, natural conversation about who you are, what you do, and how your day looks. And throughout this lesson, you will hear us pause for short, shadowing moments so you can repeat key phrases out loud. This will help you train your speaking rhythm and confidence. I'm Emily. And I'm Paul. And we are happy to be here with you. Let's begin with something simple but very important: how to introduce yourself naturally. Many learners memorize long, textbook-style introductions. But in real life, native speakers keep it short, clear, and friendly. So today, we'll show you how to do that. Emily. So, Paul, let's start with the basics. If someone new meets you and says, "Hi, nice to meet you. Tell me a little about yourself." What do you say? Paul, I usually keep it simple. I say something like, "Hi, I'm Paul. I'm from Canada, and I work as an English instructor. I love meeting new people and learning about different cultures." That's it. Nothing too long. Emily. Exactly. Simple, natural, and easy to understand. And that's what we want you to practice today. Let's give our first shadowing moment. Everyone listening, repeat after me. Shadowing. Hi, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you. I'm from the United States. I'm happy to be here. Great. When you shadow, don't worry about sounding perfect. The goal is to practice speaking out loud, even if your pronunciation is not perfect yet. Paul, now let's move into a deeper conversation. Introductions are not only about your name and country. People also want to know a little about your life, like where you live, what you do, or what your daily schedule looks like. Emily. Right. So, Paul, let me ask you, where do you live now? Paul, I live in a medium-sized city near the coast. It's not too big, not too small. It has a lot of parks, nice cafes, and friendly people. I love taking a walk near the water in the evening. What about you? Emily, I live in a busy city. It's always full of energy. There are cars, lights, people, and so many things happening all the time. It can be noisy, but I like the feeling that there is always something to do. Paul, that's a great contrast. Some people prefer quiet towns, and others prefer busy cities. Both are good for different reasons. Shadowing. I live in a small town. I live in a big city. It's quiet. It's busy. Emily. See, those are very common, easy sentences that you can use anywhere in the world. Let's keep the conversation going. Paul, what does your typical morning look like? Paul, my mornings are simple. I usually wake up around 6:45. I drink a glass of water first. It helps me feel awake. Then I stretch for a minute or two because my back is always stiff in the morning. After that, I take a shower, brush my teeth, and make breakfast. Emily, what do you have for breakfast most days? Paul, usually oatmeal or toast, sometimes eggs, and of course, coffee. I need my coffee in the morning. Without coffee, my brain doesn't start. Emily, same here. I think most people need something warm in the morning. My routine is a little different. I usually wake up around 7. 3. I check my phone for a minute, just a quick look at messages, and then I get out of bed. After that, I go to the kitchen and make tea. I don't drink coffee very often, but tea helps me start my day. Paul. And then, Emily. Then I eat something light, maybe fruit or yogurt. After that, I quickly get dressed and prepare for work. Paul, so your mornings are calmer than mine. Emily, I try to keep them calm. If I rush in the morning, I feel stressed for the rest of the day. Shadowing. I wake up early. I make breakfast. I drink coffee. I get dressed. I leave the house. Paul. These daily routine sentences are super useful because they appear in almost every beginner conversation, and they're easy to adapt to your own life. Emily. Exactly. Now, let's talk a little about our jobs. Because people often include that in introductions, Paul, how would you describe your job simply? Paul, I usually say, I teach English online and offline. I help students improve their speaking and listening. Simple, clear, and friendly. Emily, perfect. And I usually say, I work in education. I create lessons, record podcasts, and help students learn English in a natural way. Paul, and that's true. Emily does a lot of work behind the scenes. Shadowing. I'm a student. I'm a teacher. I work in an office. I work from home. Emily, these shadowing lines are short, so everyone can repeat them easily. And they're some of the most common job phrases in English. Paul, let's keep going. When people talk about their lives, they often talk about hobbies. Hobbies are a great way to connect with others. So, Emily, what do you usually say when someone asks, what do you like to do in your free time? Emily, I usually say, I like reading, walking in the park, and trying new recipes. Those are true for me and also easy to understand. Paul, very nice. I usually say, I enjoy listening to music, watching movies, and going for evening walks. Shadowing. I like reading. I enjoy music. I watch movies. I go for walks. Emily. Perfect. These are simple phrases, but they make your introduction feel more complete and natural. Paul. And that's exactly what we want in this video, to help you speak naturally about your life, without long, complicated sentences. Emily, yes, and little by little, we will build a full conversation about who you are, what you do, and how your day looks. Let's continue our natural conversation and go a little deeper into everyday life topics, things that real people talk about all around the world. These are phrases you can use whether you're meeting someone new, chatting with coworkers, or practicing English with friends. Emily. So, Paul, we talked about hobbies, morning routines, and introductions. Let's move into something people often ask next. What does your typical day look like? How do you usually answer that? Paul, I usually keep it simple. I say, my days are pretty normal. I work, I cook, I exercise a little, and I try to relax in the evening. It's honest and true for me, and it's easy for the listener to understand. Emily, that's a good point. You don't need to describe every single detail. Just choose a few clear points. For example, I usually say, my day is busy. I work during the day. Take a short break in the afternoon and enjoy a quiet dinner at night. Paul, that sounds very manageable. Emily, I try to keep it balanced. If I work too much, I feel tired the next day. Paul, same here. And speaking of days, let's give our listeners a quick shadowing moment. Shadowing. My day is busy. I work during the day. I take a break in the afternoon. I relax in the evening. I try to stay balanced. Emily, these phrases are perfect for everyday conversation. They sound natural and are easy to repeat. Now, let's explore something people often talk about when getting to know each other: family. But instead of the typical, I have a brother, I have a sister, let's keep it more conversational. Paul, yes. In real life, people say things like, I'm close with my family, or my family lives in another city, or we talk on the phone every week. Emily, exactly. For example, my family lives a few hours away from me, but we talk very often. I call my mom almost every evening. She loves telling me about her day. Paul, that's so sweet. My family lives in another country, so we mostly talk online, but we still stay connected. My sister sends me pictures of her dog every morning. It always makes me smile. Emily, that's adorable. Okay, let's give another shadowing moment with real, modern English phrases. Shadowing. I'm close with my family. My family lives far away. We talk every week. We stay connected online. They make me smile. Paul, these lines help you describe your relationship with your family naturally, without sounding like a textbook. Emily, let's move to something fun now: food and drinks. People love talking about food. Food is a great conversation starter anywhere in the world. Paul, definitely. If someone asks me about my favorite food, I usually say, I love simple food. I enjoy pasta, soups, and fresh bread. That's true, and it sounds natural. Emily, for me, I always say, I love anything warm and comforting, like noodles, rice dishes, or homemade soup. I think people love hearing about food that feels comforting. Paul, absolutely. And asking someone about their favorite drink is also very common. Emily, for example, I often say, I love tea. I drink tea almost every morning. What about you? Paul. Paul. I usually say, coffee is my favorite. I can't start my day without it. And both of these sentences are easy for our listeners to shadow. Shadowing. I love simple food. I enjoy warm meals. I drink tea every morning. I need coffee to start my day. My favorite food is pasta. Emily. Great job. These are extremely common expressions that will help you sound natural in any country. Paul. Now, let's talk about something many people struggle to express in English. Free time. Not just hobbies, but how you actually spend your downtime. For example, instead of saying, my hobby is music, you can say something more relaxed, like, I like unwinding with music after work. Or I usually watch something light in the evenings. Emily. Yes, that sounds much more natural. For example, I often say, I like taking slow walks after dinner, or I enjoy reading before bed. These give the listener a clear picture of your lifestyle. Paul. Exactly. And now another shadowing moment. Shadowing. I like to unwind after work. I enjoy slow walks. I relax with music. I read before bed. I watch something light in the evening. Emily. Wonderful. These lines are simple, true to real life, and easy for beginners to adopt. Paul. Now, here's another topic that people naturally talk about when getting to know someone. Preferences. Likes and dislikes. We all have them, and they add personality to our self-introduction. Emily. That's right. For example, I usually say, I love warm weather, but I don't like heavy rain. It's simple, but it reveals a little something about me. Paul. And I often say, I like cold weather, but I don't like windy days. These statements are great because they help create a deeper, more interesting conversation. Shadowing. I love warm weather. I don't like heavy rain. I like cold weather. I don't like windy days. I prefer sunny days. Emily. Perfect. Now, let's shift the conversation toward talking about the place you live. People often ask this when meeting someone new, but instead of saying, I live in an apartment, you can say something more natural, such as, I live in a small apartment near the city center, or my place is small, but it's cozy and comfortable. Paul. Exactly. For example, I usually describe mine by saying, I live near the water, so the evenings are really peaceful. That gives the listener a real picture. Emily. And I sometimes say, my neighborhood is always full of life. There are cafes, shops, and people everywhere. Paul. These are much more natural than simple textbook answers. Let's give listeners some shadowing lines. Shadowing. My place is small but cozy. I live near the city center. My neighborhood is lively. I live near the water. The evenings are peaceful. Emily. Excellent. These are real sentences people actually say. Paul. Before we end this section, let's talk about weekend activities. Weekends are one of the easiest topics to talk about in English because everyone has something they enjoy doing. Emily. Definitely. For example, I often say, on weekends, I like to slow down. I cook something nice, watch a movie, and maybe meet a friend for a walk. Paul, and I usually say, my weekends are quiet. I clean a little, rest, and sometimes explore new coffee shops. Shadowing. I slow down on weekends. I watch movies. I meet friends. I rest at home. I explore new places. Emily, great job. These simple sentences will help you talk naturally about your lifestyle. Let's continue building this long, natural conversation. In this part, we'll focus on social life, small talk, and real English phrases that people use every single day. These expressions are great for learners because they appear in almost every conversation with friends, coworkers, classmates, or new people you meet. Emily, Paul, let's move into something people talk about all the time, how social their life is. Some people love meeting others, and some prefer staying home. So, Paul, are you someone who goes out often? Or do you usually stay in? Paul, I'm somewhere in the middle. I enjoy going out, but I also like staying home. I usually go out about once or twice a week. Maybe I meet a friend for coffee, or I take a walk around the city, but I also enjoy quiet evenings at home with a book or some music. What about you? Emily, I'm very similar. I enjoy spending time with people, but I don't like going out every day. I like having a mix, some days social, some days quiet. I feel like that balance helps me recharge. Paul, absolutely. People need different kinds of rest. Some people rest by being with others, and some rest by being alone. And both are perfectly fine. Emily, let's give our listeners a short shadowing moment with natural phrases about social life. Shadowing. I go out once or twice a week. I enjoy quiet evenings at home. I like meeting friends for coffee. I need time to recharge. I like a mix of social time and quiet time. Paul, great. These sentences are very natural and will help you express your personality in English. Emily, now, let's talk about small talk. Small talk happens everywhere, at work, at school, in a cafe, on the bus. People usually start with easy topics. For example, weather is a classic one. Paul, yes. Weather is the universal small talk topic. People say things like, it's really warm today, or looks like it might rain later, or it's a beautiful day. It's simple, safe, and easy. Emily, exactly. For example, I often start with something like, it's a bit chilly today, isn't it? Or, the weather has been strange this week. Paul, and if someone says that to you, you can respond with something short like, yes, it really has, or, I know, I wasn't expecting this. These short replies are extremely common. Emily, let's give our listeners a shadowing session for weather small talk. Shadowing. It's really warm today. It looks like it might rain. It's a beautiful day. It's a bit chilly today. The weather has been strange. Paul, great. Weather is simple. but it opens the door to longer conversations. After weather, people often ask simple questions about life, such as, "How's your day going?" or "What are you up to today?" Emily, true. These are extremely common. For example, if someone asks me, how's your day going?" I usually say something natural like, "It's going well. Thanks. Just a busy morning." Or if it's a slower day, I say, "Pretty good. I'm taking things easy today. Paul?" And if someone asks me, I might say, "Not bad at all. Just working on a few things." Or, "It's been a productive day so far." Emily, these answers sound very real and are easy to adapt. Let's give listeners a shadowing moment with these. Shadowing. "It's going well. Thanks. I'm taking things easy today. It's been a busy morning. Not bad at all. It's been a productive day. Paul?" Perfect. Now let's dive into another topic people talk about: transportation. How we get around every day. This topic appears constantly in conversations, especially when you live in a city. Emily, yes, totally. For example, I usually say, "I take the bus most days," or "Sometimes I walk if the weather's nice." These are simple but very realistic sentences. Paul, I often say, "I drive to work," or "I use the train when I need to go downtown." These are extremely common, and learners need them. Shadowing. I take the bus most days. Sometimes I walk. I drive to work. I use the train. I go downtown by metro. Emily, great job. Now, transportation often leads to another topic: how busy your lifestyle is. So, Paul, are you usually busy during the week? Paul, most weeks. Yes, I usually have a lot of tasks to manage. Sometimes I feel like the days go by too quickly, but I try to stay organized. I keep a simple to-do list every morning. Emily, that's a great habit. I also keep a small checklist. It helps me stay focused. My weeks are usually busy, but I try not to fill my schedule too much. I need space to rest and breathe. Paul, so important, and many learners want to describe their busy schedules. So let's provide shadowing lines. Shadowing. I'm usually busy during the week. The days go by quickly. I try to stay organized. I use a to-do list. I need time to breathe. Emily, now let's talk about something universal: energy levels. People often describe how they feel physically, especially when meeting others or talking about their day. Paul, yes. For example, I often say, "I feel great today," or "I'm a little tired, but I'm okay," or even, "I slept well last night," which is something many people talk about. Emily, I usually say, "I'm a bit tired, but I'm doing fine," or "I feel relaxed today." These are simple and real. Shadowing. I feel great today. I'm a little tired. I slept well last night. I feel relaxed today. I'm doing fine. Paul, perfect. Now let's touch on simple opinions, another essential part of conversation. When someone asks for your opinion about a movie, a place, or an experience, you don't have to give long answers. Simple, natural reactions are enough. Emily, yes. People often say things like, "It was nice," or "I really liked it," or "It wasn't my favorite." These are gentle, natural replies. Paul, exactly. For example, "It was interesting." "It was okay." "I enjoyed it." Or "I didn't love it." Emily, let's shadow these. Shadowing. "It was nice." "I really liked it." "It wasn't my favorite." "It was interesting." "I enjoyed it." Paul, great. Now, before we wrap up this section, let's include one more universal topic that helps people connect: future plans. People ask about plans for the evening, the weekend, or the next day. Emily, true. For example, I might say, "I'm planning to stay home tonight." Or, "I might meet a friend for dinner." Simple and real. Paul, I usually say, "I'm thinking of going for a walk later." Or, "I don't have any plans yet." Emily, let's shadow. Shadowing. "I'm staying home tonight." "I might meet a friend." "I'm thinking of going for a walk." "I don't have plans yet." "I'll take it easy." Let's keep the conversation flowing naturally, as if you're listening to a long, relaxing English podcast. In this part, we'll explore how to talk about personality, feelings, and daily experiences, all essential topics in real-life English. These are the phrases native speakers use every day, and they're perfect for shadowing practice. Emily, Paul, let's talk about personality. When people meet someone new, they often want to know what kind of person you are. But you don't need complicated vocabulary. Simple, honest words are enough. So, if someone asks you, "How would you describe yourself?" What do you say? Paul, I usually say something like, "I'm a calm person. I like taking things slowly. I enjoy listening more than talking, especially when I meet new people." That's very true about me. Emily, yes, you are quite calm. And that's a very natural way to describe yourself. For me, I usually say, "I'm friendly and a little talkative. I like meeting people and sharing stories." That's also very true. Paul, absolutely. And these kinds of answers sound natural. They're not too long or too formal. Let's give listeners some shadowing lines. Shadowing. "I'm a calm person. I like taking things slowly. I'm friendly and talkative. I enjoy listening. I like meeting new people." Emily, great. Now, let's talk about what we're like in different situations. For example, at work, I'm usually focused and organized. I like planning my day so I don't feel rushed. Paul, that's a good strategy. At work, I'm also pretty organized, but sometimes I get caught up in small details. I try to remind myself not to overthink too much. Emily, that's relatable. A lot of people feel that way. Let's shadow some natural phrases. Shadowing. I try not to overthink. I like planning my day. I stay focused at work. I prefer a calm environment. I get caught up in details sometimes. Paul, Now let's move into feelings, something real and universal. People often describe how they feel physically or emotionally, and in English, we have many simple, natural ways to do that. Emily, yes. For example, if I had a long day, I usually say, I'm feeling a bit tired, or I need a moment to relax. These are common, everyday expressions. Paul, and if I'm feeling good, I say, I'm in a good mood today, or I feel refreshed after a good night's sleep. These are great to use when you meet someone or start a conversation. Emily, let's go into shadowing. Shadowing. I'm feeling a bit tired. I need a moment to relax. I'm in a good mood today. I feel refreshed. I had a long day. Paul, perfect. Another thing people often talk about is stress. Life can be busy, and stress is a normal part of it. But we talk about stress in simple ways. Emily, that's right. For example, I might say, I feel a little stressed this week, or I have a lot on my mind. These phrases are natural and gentle. Paul, and I usually say, I'm trying to slow down, or I need a break tonight. These are very common. Shadowing. I feel a little stressed. I have a lot on my mind. I'm trying to slow down. I need a break tonight. This week has been busy. Emily, now, let's talk about something positive. What brings us joy? Little things can make us happy, and sharing them is a great way to connect with people. Paul, exactly. For example, I often say, fresh air makes me feel better, or good music always lifts my mood. Emily, and I often say, a warm cup of tea makes me happy, or I love slow mornings. Talking about these simple joys is very natural in English. Shadowing. Fresh air makes me feel better. Good music lifts my mood. A warm drink makes me happy. I love slow mornings. Little things bring me joy. Paul, now let's talk about daily experiences, things that happen to us that we can easily describe. For example, I had a busy morning. Traffic was heavy today, or work was quiet. These short expressions help you sound fluent. Emily, very true. And you don't need long, complex sentences, just a few clear words. For example, my day started early, or I had a nice lunch break, or I finished a lot of work today. Paul, these are incredibly common phrases. Let's shadow them. Shadowing. I had a busy morning. My day started early. I finished a lot today. Traffic was heavy. Work was quiet. Emily. Now let's touch on expectations or plans that didn't go as expected. This is something everyone experiences, small changes in our day. Paul, yes. For example, I might say, my plans changed, or something came up, or I had to adjust my schedule. These phrases are very common in English. Emily, and I usually say, I ended up staying home, or I didn't have time for everything today. These are real, everyday experiences. Shadowing. My plans changed. Something came up. I had to adjust my schedule. I ended up staying home. I didn't have time for everything. Paul, excellent. Now let's talk about motivation. How we stay motivated during busy days. This is something people often share when learning more about each other. Emily, yes. For example, I often say, I feel motivated when I set small goals. Or, I stay focused when I take short breaks. Paul, and I usually say, fresh air helps clear my mind. Or, a walk always helps me reset. These ideas are simple, helpful, and easy to understand. Shadowing. I set small goals. I take short breaks. Fresh air clears my mind. A walk helps me reset. I'm trying to stay motivated. Emily, one more important area, comfort and discomfort. People talk about things they like and don't like in daily life. Paul, yes. For example, I might say, I'm not a fan of loud places, or I enjoy quiet spaces. Very common. Emily, and I often say, I don't like rushing, or I prefer slow. Peaceful mornings. Shadowing. I'm not a fan of loud places. I enjoy quiet spaces. I don't like rushing. I prefer peaceful mornings. I like a calm environment. Paul, great. Before we end this section, let's talk about confidence in speaking English. Many learners feel shy or nervous. Emily, totally. And it's completely normal. When someone asks me about learning English, I always say, just practice a little every day, or don't worry about mistakes. These are encouraging, realistic tips. Paul, and I often say, speak slowly and clearly, or shadowing really helps improve pronunciation. Emily, perfect. Let's give our final shadowing moment for this section. Shadowing. Practice a little every day. Don't worry about mistakes. Speak slowly and clearly. Shadowing helps me improve. I'm getting better every day. Let's continue with our natural, flowing conversation. In this section, we'll talk about home life, habits, comfort, and real situations that people talk about every day. These topics help you sound natural and relatable when speaking English. Emily, Paul, let's move into something everyone experiences. Life at home. People often talk about their home environment because it says a lot about their lifestyle. So, Paul, what's your home like? Paul, my home is simple and cozy. I live in a small apartment with lots of natural light. I love opening the windows in the morning because the fresh air feels amazing. I don't keep a lot of things. I prefer clean, open spaces. How about your home? Emily, my home is warm and comfortable. I like decorating with soft colors and small plants. I don't have a big place, but it feels peaceful. I love coming home after a long day. It helps me relax instantly. Paul, that sounds lovely. A calm home really helps you recharge. Emily, yes, absolutely. Let's give our listeners some shadowing lines about home life. Shadowing. My home is cozy. I live in a small apartment. I love natural light. I like peaceful spaces. My place feels comfortable. Paul? Great. Now let's talk about habits, our little routines at home that shape our everyday life. For example, I have a small habit that helps me feel organized. I always clean my kitchen before going to bed. It takes only a few minutes, but it makes my mornings feel smoother. Emily, that's a good habit. I do something similar. I make my bed every morning. Even if the rest of my day is busy, at least my room looks tidy. Paul, that small sense of order helps a lot. Emily, it does. Let's shadow some natural phrases about habits. Shadowing. I try to stay organized. I clean a little every day. I make my bed every morning. I like simple routines. I keep my space tidy. Paul, let's move on to a topic people talk about often: comfort and relaxation. Everyone has different things that make them feel calm at home. Emily, true. For me, putting on soft music in the evening instantly relaxes me. I sometimes light a candle, make tea, and just sit for a moment before doing anything else. Paul, that sounds wonderful. For me, sitting on the sofa with a warm drink always helps me slow down. I also like taking a warm shower at night. It helps me sleep better. Emily, so many people can relate to that. Let's shadow a few comforting sentences. Shadowing. I like soft music in the evening. I make tea to relax. A warm shower helps me sleep. My home helps me unwind. I enjoy quiet nights. Paul, now, let's get into real-life scenarios. Situations people around the world experience every single day. For example, coming home after work. Emily, yes, when I get home after a long day, I usually say something like, I need a minute to sit down, or let me rest for a second. These are everyday expressions. Paul, and I often say, I'm glad to be home, or I need to change into something comfortable. Emily, these sound incredibly natural. Let's shadow them. Shadowing. I need a minute to sit down. I need to rest for a second. I'm glad to be home. I need something comfortable. It feels good to be back. Paul, another situation people talk about often is cooking at home. Not everyone cooks every day, but most people know how to talk about simple meals. For example, I often say, I like cooking simple dishes, or I usually make something quick. Emily, yes. For example, I often say, I enjoy cooking when I have time, or I like trying new recipes on weekends. Paul, these are useful and easy to use. Let's shadow. Shadowing. I cook simple meals. I make something quick. I enjoy cooking when I have time. I try new recipes on weekends. I like homemade food. Emily. Perfect. Now let's talk about chores, another super common topic. People often talk about washing dishes, doing laundry, and cleaning on weekends. Paul, yes, very true. For example, I might say, I usually do my laundry on Saturdays, or I clean my living room on Sunday mornings. Emily, and I often say, I wash the dishes right after dinner. Or, I try to keep things clean during the week. Paul, very natural. Let's give a shadowing moment. Shadowing. I do laundry on weekends. I wash the dishes after dinner. I clean a little every day. I try to keep things tidy. I organize my space on Sundays. Emily, let's shift into another real-world topic, resting and recharging. People often express how they recover after a busy day or week. Paul, yes. For example, I often say, I need a quiet day, or I'm taking a slow morning. These are natural ways to talk about self-care. Emily, and I say things like, I'm giving myself a break, or I'm not doing too much today. These express a balanced lifestyle. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I need a quiet day. I'm taking a slow morning. I'm giving myself a break. I'm not doing too much today. I'm taking it easy. Emily, great. Now let's talk about staying productive at home. Productivity is something people around the world try to balance. Paul, yes. Sometimes I say, I work better in the morning, or I need a calm space to focus. These are very honest and universal. Emily, and I say, I make a small to-do list, or I focus on one task at a time. That's realistic and helpful. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I work better in the morning. I need a calm space to focus. I make a small to-do list. I focus on one task at a time. I try to stay productive. Emily, now let's talk briefly about handling unexpected things at home. Small surprises that happen to everyone. Paul, yes. Maybe you run out of groceries, or your internet goes down, or you forget to do something. I usually say, I need to run to the store, or my internet is acting up, or I forgot to do that. Emily, and I often say, I need a quick fix, or something small came up. These phrases are used constantly. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I need to run to the store. My internet is acting up. I forgot to do that. Something came up. I need a quick fix. Emily, wonderful. Before we end this section, let's cover one last topic: comfort items at home. Things that make your home feel personal and warm. Paul, for example, I might say, I love having soft blankets. Or, plants make my home feel alive. Emily, and I say, I like warm lighting. Or, I love cozy corners. Paul, let's shadow these too. Shadowing. I love soft blankets. Plants make my home feel alive. I like warm lighting. I enjoy cozy corners. My home feels peaceful. Let's continue our natural, podcast-style conversation. In this section, we'll explore how to talk about work, study, focus, communication, and the simple challenges we experience every day. These ideas appear constantly in real conversations, so learning to express them clearly will help you sound fluent and natural. Emily, let's move into another important part of life: work and study. People talk about their jobs or their studies almost every day. but you don't need complicated English to describe what you do. Simple and honest works best. Paul, absolutely. When someone asks me about my work, I usually say, I teach English and help students improve their communication. It's short, clear, and easy for anyone to understand. Emily, and I usually say, I work in education. I create lessons, record content, and help learners grow step by step. That's a real, simple description. Paul, yes. And people often ask follow-up questions like, do you enjoy your work? Or, what's your favorite part of your job? So it's helpful to have simple answers ready. Emily, exactly. For example, if someone asks me, do you enjoy your work? I usually say, yes, I love helping people learn. It's very meaningful. And when they ask about my favorite part, I say, I enjoy seeing people make progress. Paul, that's perfect. For me, I usually say, I enjoy connecting with students, or I like creating helpful materials. Very simple and natural. Emily, let's give our listeners some shadowing lines. Shadowing. I teach English. I help people learn. I enjoy my work. I love seeing progress. I create helpful lessons. Paul, great. Now let's talk about stress or challenges at work or school. Everyone has moments when they feel overwhelmed or tired, and it's very natural to talk about it. Emily, yes. For example, I might say, this week has been a bit busy, or I'm trying to catch up on a few things. These expressions sound friendly and honest. Paul, and I usually say, I have a lot to finish today, or I'm taking it step by step. These are common phrases in English-speaking workplaces. Emily, let's shadow these sentences. Shadowing. This week has been busy. I'm catching up on things. I have a lot to finish today. I'm taking it step by step. I'm doing my best. Paul, now let's talk about focus and concentration, something people struggle with everywhere. For example, when I want to stay focused, I often say, I need a quiet space, or I turn off my notifications. Emily, those are great strategies. I often say, I work better in short sessions, or I take breaks to stay fresh. This is something people talk about a lot, especially in modern workplaces. Paul, let's shadow these ideas. Shadowing. I need a quiet space. I turn off my notifications. I work better in short sessions. I take breaks to stay fresh. I'm trying to stay focused. Emily, now let's talk about communication, another everyday topic. People often discuss how they talk with coworkers, classmates, or family members. Paul, yes, communication is huge. For example, I often say, I like clear instructions, or I prefer simple explanations. These are very natural things to say. Emily, and I often say, I ask questions when I'm not sure, or I repeat important points to stay organized. These are great habits in communication. Paul, let's shadow these lines. Shadowing. I like clear instructions. I prefer simple explanations. I ask questions when I'm not sure. I repeat important points. I try to communicate well. Emily, now let's look at meetings, a big part of work or study life. Meetings happen everywhere. People talk about them constantly. Paul, very true. For example, I might say, I have a meeting this afternoon, or our meeting was productive, or the meeting ran long today. Emily, and I often say, we discussed new ideas, or we planned the week, or we reviewed our progress. These are extremely common phrases. Paul, let's shadow these. Shadowing. I have a meeting this afternoon. It was productive. The meeting ran long. We discussed new ideas. We planned the week. Emily, excellent. Now, let's talk about studying, something many learners around the world deal with every day. People often talk about how they learn new things. Paul, yes. When I study something new, I usually say, I take notes, or I review my lessons every night, or I practice a little each day. Emily, and I often say, I learn best by listening, or I improve through repetition. These are simple and relatable. Paul, let's give listeners a shadowing moment. Shadowing. I take notes. I review my lessons. I practice every day. I learn best by listening. I improve through repetition. Emily. Perfect. Now, let's move on to real-world situations around communication with others. For example, asking for help. Paul, yes, asking for help is normal and necessary. I often say, can you explain that again? Or, could you show me an example? These are polite and natural. Emily, and I often say, I'm not sure I understand. Or, can we go over that one more time? These are excellent phrases for learners. Dear Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. Can you explain that again? Could you show me an example? I'm not sure I understand. Can we go over that again? That helps a lot. Emily, before we end this section, let's talk about ending work or study for the day. This is a simple but very common topic. Paul, yes. For example, I might say, I'm wrapping up for today, or I'm finishing a few last things, or I'm done for the day. Emily, and I often say, I'm closing my laptop, or I'm taking the rest of the evening off. These are everyday expressions. Paul, let's shadow these last lines. Shadowing. I'm wrapping up for today. I'm finishing a few things. I'm done for the day. I'm taking the evening off. I'm closing my laptop. Emily, now let's move into something people around the world love talking about. Weekends. Weekends are a universal topic. Whether you study, work, or stay at home, everyone has some kind of weekend routine, and talking about it helps you build friendly, natural conversations. Paul? Absolutely. When people ask me, how was your weekend? I usually keep my answer simple. I might say, it was nice. I relaxed, cooked a few meals, and took a walk. Nothing complicated. Just honest and real. Emily, same here. When someone asks me about my weekend, I often say, it was peaceful. I stayed home, watched a movie, and cleaned a little. These small details make your English sound more natural. Paul, let's give our listeners some shadowing lines. Shadowing. My weekend was nice. I relaxed at home. I watched a movie. I took a walk. I had a peaceful day. Emily, great. Now let's talk about weekend plans. People ask, what are you doing this weekend? All the time. And again, simple answers are perfect. Paul, yes. For example, I might say, I don't have big plans. Or, I might meet a friend for coffee. Or, I'm planning to rest. These are very common. Emily, and I usually say, I'm staying home this weekend. Or, I want to try a new recipe. Or, I might go shopping. These responses feel real and easy to use. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I don't have big plans. I might meet a friend. I'm planning to rest. I'm staying home this weekend. I want to try a new recipe. Emily, let's now move into social moments, meeting friends, going out, or spending time with people we care about. These moments are perfect for simple English practice. Paul, absolutely. For example, when I meet friends, I might say, we usually talk, laugh, and enjoy something simple like coffee or snacks. These are daily, natural activities. Emily, and when I meet friends, I often say, we catch up on life, or we walk around the city, or we talk about our week. These are extremely common. Paul, let's shadow a few lines. Shadowing. We caught up on life. We talked about our week. We walked around the city. We enjoyed some coffee. We laughed a lot. Emily, great. Now let's move into errands, another very real part of life. Errands are the small tasks you do outside the home, like grocery shopping or picking something up. Paul, yes, people talk about errands all the time. For example, I might say, I need to go grocery shopping, or I'm going to pick up a few things, or I have to run an errand this afternoon. Emily, those are perfect. I often say, I need to buy some fresh food, or I have to go to the pharmacy, or I'm going to the market later. Paul, let's give listeners some shadowing lines. Shadowing. I need to go grocery shopping. I'm picking up a few things. I have to run an errand. I'm going to the market later. I need to buy some fresh food. Emily, perfect. Now let's talk about shopping, not just groceries, but casual shopping. People often talk about what they bought or what they want to buy. Paul, yes. For example, I might say, I bought a new jacket, or I found something on sale, or I didn't buy anything today. Emily, and I often say, I'm looking for something simple, or I like checking new stores, or I'm trying not to spend too much. Paul, let's shadow these phrases. Shadowing. I bought a new jacket. I found something on sale. I didn't buy anything. I'm looking for something simple. I'm trying not to spend too much. Emily, great. Now let's move into cafes and restaurants, another universal topic. People love talking about food, drinks, and places to hang out. Paul, absolutely. When I go to a cafe, I usually say, I ordered a latte, or I tried a new dessert, or the place was really cozy. Emily, and I might say, I tried a new dish, or the food was delicious, or the cafe had a nice atmosphere. Paul, let's shadow those lines. Shadowing. I ordered a latte. I tried a new dessert. The place was cozy. The food was delicious. The cafe had a nice atmosphere. Emily, perfect. Now, another thing people always talk about is weather on weekends. Weather affects everything we do, especially when we make plans. Paul, very true. For example, I might say, the weather was perfect this weekend. Or, it rained a little, so I stayed home. Or, it was sunny and warm. Emily, and I often say, the weather made the day better. Or, it was too hot to go out. Or, I enjoyed the cool breeze. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. The weather was perfect. It rained a little. It was sunny and warm. It was too hot to go out. I enjoyed the cool breeze. Emily, now let's talk about managing time on weekends. Many people plan their weekends carefully so they can relax and finish important tasks. Paul, yes. I often say, I try to use my weekend wisely. Or, I plan a little and rest a little. Or, I don't like rushing on weekends. Emily, and I often say, I take my time. Or, I enjoy slow mornings. Or, I try not to schedule too much. Paul, let's shadow these. Shadowing. I use my weekend wisely. I plan a little and rest a little. I don't like rushing on weekends. I enjoy slow mornings. I try not to schedule too much. Emily, before we end this section, let's talk about how weekends help us reset for the new week. Many people use the weekend to relax, reflect, and prepare for Monday. Paul, yes, very true. For example, I might say, my weekends help me recharge. Or, I feel ready for the new week. Or, I reset my mind on Sundays. Emily, and I often say, I prepare my things for Monday. Or, I take a little time to reflect. Or, weekends help me stay balanced. Paul, let's shadow these final lines. Shadowing. My weekends help me recharge. I feel ready for the new week. I reset my mind on Sundays. I prepare for Monday. Weekends keep me balanced. Emily, let's continue moving deeper into everyday English. Topics like health, lifestyle, and small daily challenges. These are things people talk about all the time in real life. And mastering these phrases makes your English sound natural and confident. Paul, absolutely. Let's begin with something universal, health. Everyone talks about how they feel physically, and you don't need advanced vocabulary for this. Simple sentences are enough. Emily, for example, when I'm feeling good, I usually say, I feel great today, or I slept well last night. These are common, natural expressions. Paul, and when I'm not feeling my best, I say, I'm a little tired, or I didn't sleep well, or my energy is low today. These are phrases people use everywhere. Emily, let's give our listeners a shadowing moment. Shadowing. I feel great today. I slept well last night. I'm a little tired. My energy is low. I didn't sleep well. Paul. Good. Now let's talk about staying healthy. People often talk about simple habits they do to take care of themselves. Emily. True. For example, I might say, I try to drink more water, or I go for walks to stay active. These habits are easy to talk about. Paul, and I often say, I'm trying to eat healthier, or I stretch in the morning, or I'm getting better at sleeping early. Emily, great. Let's shadow these. Shadowing. I try to drink more water. I go for walks to stay active. I stretch in the morning. I eat healthier. I'm trying to sleep early. Paul, now let's talk about stress, something everyone deals with. Stress is a common topic in everyday life because the world is busy and people feel tired easily. Emily, yes, very true. For example, I often say, I feel a bit overwhelmed this week, or I need some time to rest, or I'm taking a mental break. Paul, and I sometimes say, I'm trying to slow down, or I'm doing too much, or I need a free evening. Emily, these sentences help people express their feelings clearly. Let's shadow. Shadowing. I feel overwhelmed. I need some time to rest. I'm taking a mental break. I'm trying to slow down. I need a free evening. Paul, now let's talk about the opposite. Things that help us feel better. People love sharing what boosts their mood or helps them relax. Emily, definitely. For example, I might say, music helps me relax, or fresh air clears my mind, or talking to a friend makes me feel better. Paul, and I usually say, a warm shower helps me reset, or I feel better after a short walk, or good food always cheers me up. Emily, let's shadow. Shadowing. Music helps me relax. Fresh air clears my mind. A warm shower helps me reset. I feel better after a walk. Good food cheers me up. Paul. Now let's shift to lifestyle. How people live their everyday life. People often talk about their habits, routines, and personal choices. Emily, yes. For example, I often say, I'm trying to live more simply, or I enjoy slow mornings, or I like keeping things minimal. Paul, and I often say, I try to stay active, or I enjoy learning new things, or I like keeping my schedule light. Emily, let's shadow these. Shadowing. I'm trying to live simply. I enjoy slow mornings. I stay active. I like learning new things. I keep my schedule light. Paul, now let's talk about small challenges we all face. Life is full of tiny difficulties that people often mention casually. Emily, absolutely. For example, I often say, I'm running behind today. Or, I forgot something important. Or, my day got a little messy. Paul, and I might say, I spilled my coffee. Or, I lost track of time. Or, I'm dealing with a small problem. Emily, very relatable. Let's shadow these. Shadowing. I'm running behind today. I forgot something important. My day got messy. I lost track of time. I'm dealing with a small problem. Paul, now let's talk about solutions. What we do when things go wrong. People like sharing how they solve small issues. Emily, yes. For example, I usually say, I'm fixing it step by step. Or, I'll handle it later. Or, I'm figuring it out. Paul, and I often say, I took a break and tried again. Or, I changed my plan. Or, I found a simple solution. Emily, let's shadow those lines. Shadowing. I'm fixing it step by step. I'll handle it later. I'm figuring it out. I changed my plan. I found a solution. Paul, now let's talk about emotions, real human feelings. People need simple ways to describe how they feel emotionally. Emily, yes. For example, I often say, I feel relaxed. Or, I feel hopeful. Or, I feel grateful today. These are natural, positive emotions, as Paul. And sometimes I say, I feel nervous. Or, I'm a bit worried. Or, I feel unsure about something. These are very normal emotions too. Emily, let's shadow. Shadowing. I feel relaxed. I feel hopeful. I feel grateful today. I feel nervous. I'm a bit worried. Paul, great. Now let's talk about goals, another common topic. People often discuss small goals they want to achieve in life. Emily, yes. I often say, I'm trying to read more. Or, I want to improve my habits. Or, I'm working on my English every day. Paul, and I usually say, I'm trying to be more organized. Or, I want to stay consistent. Or, I'm learning something new. Emily, let's shadow. Shadowing. I'm trying to read more. I want to improve my habits. I'm working on my English. I want to stay consistent. I'm learning something new. Paul, now let's explore rest, how people recharge. Rest is a big part of health and lifestyle. Emily, definitely. I often say, I rest by watching something light. Or, I rest by taking a nap. Or, I rest by sitting quietly. Paul, and I often say, I rest by walking outside. Or, I rest by listening to soft music. Or, I rest by disconnecting from my phone. Emily, let's shadow. Shadowing. I rest by watching something light. I rest by taking a nap. I rest by sitting quietly. I rest by walking outside. I rest by disconnecting. Paul. Before we wrap up this section, let's talk about resilience, the ability to bounce back when life becomes difficult. It's something people talk about casually but deeply. Emily. Very true. For example, I often say, I'm trying to stay positive, or I'm focusing on small steps, or I'm keeping things simple. Paul. And I say, I'm getting through it, or I'm finding my balance, or I'm doing what I can. Emily. Let's shadow these final lines. Shadowing. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm focusing on small steps. I'm keeping things simple. I'm getting through it. I'm finding my balance. Emily. Now let's move into another big topic that people love talking about: travel. Whether it's a short trip nearby or a long-distance journey, travel gives people stories, memories, and feelings to share, and it's one of the best ways to practice natural English. Paul. Definitely. And you don't need advanced vocabulary to talk about travel. Simple sentences work perfectly. For example, when someone asks me about my travel experiences, I usually say, I like visiting new places, or I enjoy exploring small towns, or I love quiet trips near nature. Emily. Those are beautiful. When people ask me, I usually say, I enjoy short weekend trips, or I like visiting different cafes and trying local food, or I love traveling to peaceful places. Paul. Let's give listeners some shadowing lines. Shadowing. I like visiting new places. I enjoy exploring small towns. I love quiet trips. I enjoy short weekend trips. I love peaceful places. Emily. Good. Now let's talk about travel style. Everyone travels differently. Some people like busy cities. Some prefer beaches or mountains. Some like slow travel. Paul. Exactly. For example, I often say, I like slow travel, or I prefer simple trips, or I enjoy walking more than rushing. Emily. And I often say, I like visiting places with good food, or I enjoy staying in cozy spaces, or I prefer calm destinations. Paul. Let's shadow. Shadowing. I like slow travel. I prefer simple trips. I enjoy walking more than rushing. I like places with good food. I prefer calm destinations. Emily. Now let's talk about describing a past trip. People often say simple things like, I went there last year, or the weather was perfect, or the people were kind. These descriptions make your storytelling alive without needing difficult grammar. Paul. Yes, storytelling in English can be simple. For example, I might say, I visited a small town last spring, or I tried local food, or I took lots of photos. Emily. And I might say, I enjoyed the atmosphere, or the view was amazing, or it was a relaxing trip. Paul. Let's shadow these storytelling phrases. Shadowing. I went there last year. The weather was perfect. I tried local food. I took a lot of photos. It was a relaxing trip. Emily, now let's talk about memories. People love sharing memories with others, and memories help create connection. But again, we can keep it simple. Point? Absolutely. For example, I often say, I remember walking near the water, or I remember the fresh air, or I remember how peaceful it felt. Emily, and I often say, I remember laughing with my friends, or I remember how beautiful the sunset was, or I remember feeling very happy. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I remember walking near the water. I remember the fresh air. I remember laughing with my friends. I remember the sunset. I remember feeling happy. Emily, now let's talk about future travel. People talk about travel plans or dreams all the time. Even if you don't have exact plans, simple expressions are enough. Paul, yes. I often say, I hope to travel soon. Or, I want to visit a new place this year. Or, I'm thinking about taking a short trip. Emily, and I often say, I want to explore more. Or, I'd love to visit a quiet beach. Or, I'm planning a small getaway. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I hope to travel soon. I want to visit a new place. I'm thinking about a short trip. I want to explore more. I'm planning a getaway. Emily. Beautiful. Now let's switch topics, because travel often leads to talking about culture, people, and human experiences. Paul. Yes. For example, I often say, I like meeting people from different backgrounds, or I enjoy learning about local traditions, or I love trying new foods. Emily, me too. And I often say, people are kind everywhere, or I enjoy listening to people's stories, or I love learning how others live. Paul, these are wonderful ways to express interest in the world. Let's shadow. Shadowing. I like meeting new people. I enjoy learning about traditions. I love trying new foods. I enjoy people's stories. I love learning about other cultures. Emily, now let's talk about simple everyday adventures, not big travel, but small experiences in daily life. These are great for conversation. Paul, exactly. For example, I might say, I explored a new cafe, or I walked in a new park, or I found a quiet spot in the city. Emily, and I might say, I tried a new dish, or I watched the sunset from a bridge, or I took a different route home. These small events make great conversation starters. Paul, let's shadow. Shadowing. I explored a new cafe. I walked in a new park. I found a quiet spot. I tried a new dish. I took a different route home. Emily, now let's move into deeper personal expression, something English learners want but often struggle with. Sharing opinions and personal thoughts in a natural way. Paul, yes. And again, simple is best. For example, I might say, I think simple moments are the best. Or, I enjoy life when I slow down. Or, I appreciate small things. Emily. So true. I often say, I like peaceful days. Or, I enjoy being present. Or, I appreciate good conversations. Paul. Let's shadow these. Shadowing. I think simple moments are the best. I enjoy life when I slow down. I appreciate small things. I like peaceful days. I enjoy good conversations. Emily. Now, let's talk about describing your personality in deeper ways beyond I'm friendly or I'm calm. You can express deeper traits using simple English. Paul. Exactly. For example, I might say, I enjoy thinking deeply, or I like observing people, or I'm patient with others. Emily. And I might say, I'm warm with people I trust, or I care about communication, or I like connecting with others. Paul. Let's shadow them. Shadowing. I enjoy thinking deeply. I like observing people. I'm patient with others. I'm warm with people I trust. I like connecting with others. Emily. Now let's talk about expressing emotional reactions. What you feel when something happens. Paul. Yes. For example, if something surprises me, I say, I didn't expect that. Or, that took me by surprise. If something makes me happy, I say, that made my day. Emily. And I often say, that touched my heart. Or, that made me smile. Or, that was really sweet. These phrases are used constantly. Paul. Let's shadow. Shadowing. I didn't expect that. That surprised me. That made my day. That made me smile. That was really sweet. Emily. Before we move into the final part, let's talk about expressing gratitude, something incredibly common in English conversations. Paul. True. I might say, I really appreciate that. Or, thank you for your help. Or, that means a lot to me. Emily. And I often say, I'm grateful for your kindness. Or, thank you for listening. Or, thanks for being here. Paul. Let's shadow these final lines. Shadowing. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your help. That means a lot to me. I'm grateful for your kindness. Thank you for listening. Emily. We've talked about so many real-life topics today. Introductions, routines, feelings, weekend plans, travel, memories, lifestyle, and more. Now, before we finish, let's bring everything together and help our listeners reflect on what they learned in a simple, natural way. Paul. Yes. Reflection is powerful. It helps you remember the phrases better and feel more confident using them. You don't need complicated grammar, just honest, simple English. Emily. So, Paul, let's start with a reflection question. When someone wants to talk about their day, what are some natural phrases they can use? Paul. There are many. They can say things like, my day was good. It was a little busy. I had a calm morning. I did a lot today. I took some time to rest. Emily. Right. And these phrases are easy to adapt. Anyone can use them. Let's shadow them quickly. Shadowing. My day was good. It was a little busy. I had a calm morning. I did a lot today. I took some time to rest. Paul, great job. Now let's reflect on feelings. People around the world express how they feel emotionally every day. What are some natural ways to do that? Emily, you can say, I feel relaxed today. I'm a bit tired. I feel positive. I feel grateful. I'm a little stressed. Paul, all simple, all natural. Let's shadow these. 2. Shadowing. I feel relaxed today. I'm a bit tired. I feel positive. I feel grateful. I'm a little stressed. Emily, perfect. Now let's reflect on describing personality. When you meet someone new, you might want to express what kind of person you are. Paul, yes. You can say, I'm an easygoing person. I'm friendly. I'm quiet at first, but warm later. I enjoy meeting new people. I like simple conversations. Emily, beautiful phrases. Let's shadow. Shadowing. I'm easygoing. I'm friendly. I'm quiet at first. I enjoy meeting new people. I like simple conversations. Paul. Now let's reflect on everyday routines. People talk about their habits constantly, in school, at work, and in casual conversations. Emily, yes. For example, I wake up early. I start my day with coffee or tea. I take short breaks during the day. I cook dinner in the evening. I relax at night. Paul, let's shadow these. Shadowing. I wake up early. I start my day with coffee. I take short breaks. I cook dinner. I relax at night. Emily, great. Now let's talk about travel and experiences, because sharing stories is a big part of English conversation. Paul, definitely. You can say things like, I went somewhere nice last month. I saw beautiful views. I tried good food. I met kind people. It was a memorable trip. Emily, let's shadow them. Shadowing. I went somewhere nice. I saw beautiful views. I tried good food. I met kind people. It was memorable. Paul, wonderful. Now let's talk about future hopes and goals, something people discuss all the time. Emily, yes. For example, I hope to learn more English. I want to travel more. I'm working on myself. I'm improving step by step. I believe I can do better. Paul, let's shadow these. Shadowing. I hope to learn more. I want to travel more. I'm working on myself. I'm improving step by step. I believe I can do better. Emily, now let's shift into encouragement, because learning a language takes patience, courage, and consistency. Many learners feel nervous or shy, but you don't need to be perfect to make progress. Paul, absolutely. Sometimes I tell my students, you don't need perfect grammar. You just need to keep speaking. Practice makes progress. Repeat simple sentences every day. Be kind to yourself. Emily, those are powerful messages. Let's shadow them. Shadowing. You don't need perfect grammar. Keep speaking. Practice makes progress. Repeat simple sentences. Be kind to yourself. Paul, now let's talk about small wins. Little moments that show you're improving. These are important to celebrate. Emily, yes, a small win might be: you understood a sentence. You repeated something clearly. You spoke without thinking too much. You remembered a new word. You finished an English video. Paul, these are victories. Let's shadow them. Shadowing. I understood that sentence. I repeated it clearly. I spoke confidently. I remembered a new word. I finished this video. Emily, great. Now let's help our listeners prepare for real conversations. When you meet someone new, here are simple questions you can ask. Paul, where are you from? What do you do? What do you like to do? How was your day? What are your plans for the weekend? Emily, and here are simple answers you can give. Paul, I'm from, I work as, I like, my day was, this weekend. I'm Emily. Let's shadow these. Shadowing. Where are you from? What do you do? I'm from, I like, my day was good. Paul, before we end, let's talk about confidence. Confidence grows slowly, but it grows with every sentence you speak. Even this video, practicing shadowing with us, helps your brain get used to English rhythm. Emily, yes, every time you repeat a sentence, you become a little stronger. Every time you hear a familiar phrase, your brain learns faster. That's how fluency works. Consistent exposure, simple practice, calm repetition. Paul, and you don't need complex words. You don't need long speeches. You just need consistency. Emily, now, let's finish with a final shadowing session. Your last one for today. Repeat slowly, clearly, and confidently. Final shadowing. I'm learning every day. I'm improving step by step. I'm confident. I can speak English. I'm proud of myself. Paul, wonderful job. Everyone, Emily, yes. Thank you so much for staying with us all the way until the end of this long lesson. You did an amazing job today, Paul. And remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please like the video and subscribe to English in Motion. Your support helps this community grow and helps more learners around the world find our lessons. Emily, and don't forget to write a comment below. Tell us something about yourself, your day, your routine, your goals, anything. We'd love to read your stories. Paul, until next time, take care, stay motivated, stay curious, and keep practicing. Emily, we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye for now. Paul, goodbye, everyone.